go.
Okay, everybody see that okay?
And just as a reminder, they can see our entire meeting on cable TV. So
Oh, yeah.
we just really have to be cautious about staying on track with the agenda.
Yes. So we don't take hours and hours of cable time. Also, one note from the chair here. Is everybody aware of the controversy with a historical commission meeting?
I read it today.
Yeah, so
Okay.
just saw it this morning a few minutes ago.
Okay. This goes without saying, but I'm relying on everybody to maintain decorum, not cast any aspersions on any group or any individual with regard to personalities, with regard to race, creed, color, anything like that. Obviously, as the chair, I'll whack my virtual gavel if I hear something that's out of line, but I don't expect to hear any. So we'll just make sure that we follow that. Anne Marie, as I understand, the town does not have any kind of a behavior or policy. I think I read in the paper that got held up and has never been promulgated by the select board. But we're relying on everybody to behave, so to speak. If we have any outside visitors, I'll remind them of that too if anybody else comes on board. Okay, moving forward to the minutes.
I have some comments.
I do too. Go ahead, Jed.
On number 2D2 about the community meetings. And then it ends with Council on Aging at the Community Center, November 1st at 11 a.m. When I looked on the website, it says 9 a.m. I'm pretty sure that's what they were going to do. They were going to do a morning meeting.
Okay.
We lost Wendy, I think.
Yeah.
Still on the list, but
there she is coming back.
Sorry.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you?
Good. We lost Wendy. We're just waiting for her to come back.
Okay. Okay, thanks. I'm on a call. I'll be right off in a second.
If Wendy's back, she's just muted.
Okay, I'll be off in a second, okay, in a little bit. So can you shut that door? Thanks. Can you shut that door? Thanks, bye.
Well,
Catherine, I don't know if you're aware, but you've got two different logins going.
You know what? I wasn't aware, actually. My computer, actually, for the first time. Oh, there we go. I'm back in here again. All right. Awesome. I couldn't get in here before. Thank you. It must have started. I'm going to get out of that one then. Thank you.
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. I just don't want us to start hearing echoes and feedback and all the other stuff that happens when two people are in the same room on Zoom. Okay. Go ahead. So Wendy, did you get that correction of the time at the community meeting?
Wendy is muted at the moment.
I have a feeling she's only halfway back.
Yeah. She said she was having internet trouble. I don't know. It's not foggy out this morning, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what? I never have internet issues, and that's why it kept saying I couldn't get in because of internet issues. So I don't know, maybe.
Are you on Comcast or you're on T-Mobile?
Comcast.
It also could have been me and the way I launched the meeting.
No, because Wendy was in and then she disappeared.
Okay.
You just look
she
funny
is.
at its power and it will die.
It's just as well that I've been on mute. You have not wanted to hear what I've been having to say this morning. There we go.
Okay.
Arr. No, I'm so sorry. What did you say about meeting time and so forth?
So on number 2D2, it's about the meetings in the community, and the one at the Council on Aging on November 1st. The website says it's 9 a.m.
Yeah, I think I got that. Okay.
Okay. On the next one, section E, it refers to a letter to Comcast that will go out when approved by the select board. I'm aware of one letter we did that went out 3 weeks ago. Is there another letter to Comcast? I don't remember that, right?
No,
Not
that
as
was
far
just
as I
the same. We
remember.
were just talking about it. We were just talking about it, so I wrote it down. But
Call it a prospective letter to Comcast, perhaps.
okay.
Yeah, certainly nothing anticipated at the next select board meeting.
Okay.
I think maybe the context was, I think we're talking about, see if they respond and give them a certain amount of time to respond. Am I right? I don't know. I don't remember, but,
Yeah,
and then maybe write
Yeah, it
another
was
Could be.
was something
It could
like
be.
that.
It's just
Yeah.
the thing that caught me was that we had a letter at the next select board meeting. I don't think we do.
We do
No.
not.
Okay.
It was just
All
to
right.
follow up on the letters that
Yes,
were sent.
yes.
Okay. I over here. All right.
Okay, the next one was 2I3. So this one's about our meetings being recorded and available on the town website. They're not available on the town website.
Well, I kind of didn't think so, but I kept asking, and people said, "Oh no, it's on the website." So
It's on the, well, everything
All
else
right.
is true. It's available via Bourne Community TV and will be on YouTube. That's all true.
okay.
But it's not on the town website.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll
Um,
fix that.
Well,
Right.
did you mean that you could get to did that mean you can get to the community TV website from the town website? Because that's how I read it. That you,
Well,
I
is
don't
that
think you
true or not?
can.
I don't know if that's true or not. That's not the way I do it. I haven't
No,
looked to see if
I
you
don't
can.
think so, because
Okay,
the Bourne
All right.
Community TV is an
Okay.
independent organization. They have their own
Right.
website.
right. But
There's
I didn't
no
know
link.
if the town did post a link. I haven't done it that way. I've
I've
just
never
gone to
seen
the
it.
community TV website. Okay,
Yeah.
so then yeah, strike.
Okay, 2K3, this is under the Whip City one. So under number 3, it said Whip City responds to service calls in 2 hours or less. We were talking about emergency response, not service calls. It's not like you call somebody
Okay.
up and say, I have bad Wi-Fi and they're over your house in 2 hours.
Okay.
That was emergency response. They basically said they're 2 hours away from the bridge. So the or less, I don't think would
Okay.
be right either.
Okay.
They just said would be here. We could
Okay.
reply to respond to emergencies in 2 hours.
Okay. 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 Anything else?
Yeah, one more on the next line down. If we join hands with Falmouth and Mashpee, we can expect this to cost $5 per customer. I think you need to clarify that if we join hands with Falmouth and Mashpee and hire a full-time technician, we can expect this because there's going to be other costs. This conversation was where we were debating the relative merits of having a full-time technician. And I
Yes.
just kind of threw out a rough number. But there'd be other things
Okay.
besides that I don't think it's only gonna cost $5 per customer overall.
Yeah,
Oh no, I
might
didn't think.
just
I
delete
thought
the
that was
5.
referring
It's not
to.
material. Maybe it might be a problem, more
Okay.
problematic later since it's just a random number.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was worried about how definitive that statement was.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
Enough
glad
said.
to
It
see
for
we
yours.
discussed
May or may not
it.
be a cost implication for
Right.
on-Cape technicians.
that's right. May or may
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
Okay, Jed, you done with your comments?
I am.
Okay, Wendy, if we go back up to 2E,
Mm-hmm.
Roman numeral II, or 2, just, and I'll leave it to others to clarify the terminology. About middle mile means the cables, fibers between the major provider trunk and connections with consumers. My understanding is that that middle mile comes off of these backbones and gets part of the way, but never goes actually to the consumer.
Yep. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
that's
my
correct.
understanding too.
So they don't need
I-
more
I-
middle
I-
mile info. They need more last mile info. So I would just substitute middle mile with last mile, and then get rid of the stuff about the major
Wait, so what?
trunks.
Substitute middle mile for last mile? is
No,
what you just said?
last mile for middle mile.
In the first sentence.
Oh, okay.
To explain this, Wendy, the middle mile stuff is like, imagine what runs down Route 28, okay? And then from there, it goes to either a building or a box where the fiber service is divided. From the division out, that is the last mile where it goes to people's houses. The big trunk that carries the information to everyone, that is considered the middle mile.
So specifically, their problem is the poles that will carry the last mile connections. We need a lot more data around in order to come up with a cost estimate. We have a very strong understanding of where the middle mile is, so we don't really need to know more about middle mile options.
Yeah, for instance, just the last sentence, just for clarification, you might say Open Cape provides only middle mile service.
Yeah.
I think we
Okay.
lost her again.
Oh, boy. I think
We
she
can
needs to
move
get
on.
off T-Mobile.
I'll save T-Mobile comments for that point of the agenda.
Right, I have a very interesting Comcast story from last weekend.
Okay. So until Wendy gets back, I'm gonna
Well,
do.
okay,
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. Gotcha.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so we've
Okay,
done the middle
you were
mile
about-
versus last mile. Go ahead, Wendy.
Well, no, we weren't. No, we didn't, because that's when I cut out.
Okay.
Okay, so Claire, 2E, little 2, what? Changes to what?
For everything but the last sentence there, change middle mile to last mile. Okay.
All right.
So Whip
and then-
City needs more info for the last mile poles and cables. Middle mile means the cables, wires, or fibers between the major provider trunk and the connections. With
I can't write
consumers,
that fast. Would you, Brian? I can't write that fast. Can you send me an email that says what you want?
so here, I'll just put it in the
Pretty
chat. It's actually quite small of a change. We'll fix it.
Okay.
And while you're doing
So-
that, Wendy, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the minutes to all these meetings. It's not an easy task, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, a
Well,
shout out
it's-
because of your ability to
It could
turn
be easier.
to turn short things around and get them to the newspaper within minutes after our meeting. So that's wondrous as far as I'm concerned.
It absolutely is, because it
Well,
would never get done if I was supposed to be doing it. So thank you.
And also, I mean,
Okay.
the minutes, sending things to the newspaper, we can't state that we're sending minutes because we haven't approved them yet. So
Mhm.
we shouldn't be sending them to
I-
the
and I-
public. But if it's more of
I
a
don't say that.
summary of things, that's okay. But we can't say that there are minutes from our meetings to the newspaper because they
I
haven't
don't
been.
say that. I
Okay,
don't.
Yeah,
good.
she doesn't.
don't
That was
say
my terminology. Mea
Okay.
culpa.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I usually say something like, these are the topics that we discussed at the meeting, or something to that general effect. Okay, I'm not seeing the chat
about
from
that?
Brian, but how about what?
Just dropped it into the
I'm
chat.
not
How's that
seeing
look to
any chat
everybody?
here. I haven't got it. It's not here. Oh, there we are.
Wow, the
Okay,
lag's
yeah.
pretty good today on your connection, Wendy. That's
Glad to hear it.
6 seconds. That's pretty.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Comcast is holding up at all this morning because I have no Verizon signal. Go figure.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We lost Wendy again.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Well, hopefully she can watch the video at some point. She's really doing a very good job with this.
Yes. Okay. Given that she's having problems and that the changes that at least Jed and I wanted made have been recorded. Anybody else have any other corrections?
I
Yeah.
did have a couple.
Okay.
2B2 starts with underground. I think we want to say they're a municipally owned broadband system. Has a high return on investment. And then on 2B3, it's very much cheaper to lay large amounts of conduit ahead of need rather than fiber. I don't think we're going to lay fiber ahead of a need.
it's too early in the day to start drinking heavily.
No. Wendy, there's going to be the
Yes.
recording of this. You're dropping in and out, and
I know.
we don't want to leave you in the dust here. But for anything that you don't capture, can we just suggest you go back to the recording and just in case you drop out while some of us are speaking? There's a couple of other corrections that are coming along here.
Sure, I'd love to. If I can get onto that, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay, we have some time here and before we have to finish off. And again, let's proceed with okay, anything else, Tony?
Yeah, that was it for me.
Okay.
Those two.
I heard John's voice there. John,
I'm good.
you're good. Okay, anyone else have any corrections, additions, etc. to the minutes?
I'm dropping one in the chat on the one touch make ready. So 2A3. Just need to make a distinction on that big once and one touch make ready are separate concepts, although they are
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I
locked
did
together
that, but I will-
often.
Yep.
So I just dropped in a chat a proposed adjustment if people want to take a look.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay,
think
any
you
oth-
sent me something that you sent me that yesterday, and I think I've already fixed that.
And Wendy, you're our essentially translator for us who are talking in tech speak into plain English that the general public can understand. I got
Yeah,
one
I do try.
comment, and you do a great job at it. By the way, I got one comment from somebody who had seen one of the recordings on YouTube and said, "Boy, this stuff is really technical." And I said, well, we're trying to explain it as much as we can in layman's terms. And he said, yeah, mostly it's good, but it's really technical. So kudos to Wendy for making the minutes at least understandable for somebody who wouldn't wade through, a 2-hour Zoom meeting on YouTube. Okay. Any
Well,
other corrections?
as you know, I'm never shy about saying, what the heck does that mean? And so,
Very good.
all right, moving on.
Moving on. Any other corrections? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
Okay, I can't move. John just made the motion and somebody else seconded, please.
Second.
Okay, we've got it. All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Okay. Let me switch to another screen here. The first item is Cape Cod Technology Council, the Broadband Committee. Brian, there was a meeting day before yesterday. Was it yesterday? And and I sent around some of the slides that Steve Smith had forwarded from that, talking about digital equity. It's a presentation by MBI. Brian, would you like to summarize that meeting or any other discussions with the council?
That was an interesting meeting. They brought a group similar to the Cape Cod, similar to the Tech Council for off Cape towns in, who was facing similar but slightly different sets of issues. And they said they had some interesting ideas. And so the Tech Council is pretty positive about trying to work with them. In New Bedford, apparently, they armed all of the school kids, and we think it might have been high school level, with how to run these speed tests. And they were able to send them out into the community and gather a significant amount of data, taking advantage of the tendency of the younger population to understand this stuff a little bit better. And especially with children's education needs being very important in a lot of these grants, it was getting targeted data from where they actually live. So we working on getting an introduction to someone in New Bedford who did this, so we could just copy a perfectly working system to gather data.
Wow.
Excellent.
Do you see an opportunity maybe to do this with, I can't remember his first name, Chris Oliver, who's the tech guy for the school system, or for the tech guy for Upper Cape?
If they've got a working model of how to collect the data and how to teach it to the kids, we deploy it in the school system. I would almost copy and paste it because it worked for them. They got good quality data and they were able to get actual insights that were useful out of it with a relatively low spend. So trying to work and get an introduction, because that would be just fantastic to copy that, edit it, and ship it out there.
I agree. And I would actually volunteer to go and meet with each of the schools to help roll that out if you want, because I do think that's a great idea. We've talked about it before. The committee actually was, actually formed, I think. So if you can get that data and we can copy it, that's a great idea.
Yeah, especially when it's a working model. It's been done in a similar community, coastal, not too far from here. It's probably the closest thing to a copy paste we'll ever get. So
yeah. Catherine, the point of contact for that is I'm sorry, Wendy. The point of contact for that is a guy named Chris Oliver, who's the technology officer for the school system. Wendy, we met him at the initial meeting for digital equity, so he knows our group exists.
Okay. And does Nick Dracunas work for him?
I don't know that name.
Okay. I believe he does. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that I keep mentioning every now and then, being a low tech person in a lot of ways, is that if there are flyers that you give to kids to put in their backpacks and take home with the link actually written down on them, you can do that. And they can do that in a heartbeat. And that's going to not only reach the kids, trying to do their homework online, but it's going to reach the parents too.
And the children, based on the data we've seen, the parents with children tend to be the lower income parts of town. So it meshes really well with digital equity.
Yep.
Arm the people with the problem with the tool to help craft a solution. It was a brilliant idea.
Brian, I have a quick question, because I read through the presentation, and thank you, Bob, for forwarding that. They talk about the BEAD model challenge, and it's a little unclear to me. Are we talking about just people going and doing normal speed tests, or are we also talking about that Raspberry or Arduino hardware that we talked about, that we were talking about putting in census blocks?
The latter. So about the 11th of November, the final rules are supposed to come out.
Ooh,
We
okay.
roughly know it's going to be a copy and paste of the NTIA's release. We kind of roughly know what's going to be in there. So when I guess if it's when we get to that agenda item, I've already drafted a rough draft of a letter anticipating what is going to be in there based on that presentation, based on conversations with Education Superhighway about what's in the NTIA model version of that. And then ultimately we'll have to do some edits based upon the final drop of that regulation, so to speak. But we roughly know what the high level problems are going to be in there. I'm sure there'll be a couple of little details here and there that have to be adjusted.
Right. What I'm just trying to anticipate is, are we going to have to make an investment in some of this hardware or get the
Yes.
town to do it? Yes. Okay. That's the question. Okay.
Well, when we get to it, you'll see one of the yes, but unfortunately, yes, it's gonna right as of now, we will need to buy hardware. There's no funding for this. MBI is not, as far as we know, and subject to the 11th, they're not going to be handing out Raspberry Pis to everybody with pre-populated stuff in it. We're kind of left to our own devices to prove to the state broadband office that we got a problem. So yeah, we'll need a little bit of funds to do it. Not massive amounts of money, but some money.
Okay. Anything else at that meeting, Brian?
It was a short one. It's only like a 1 hour call, so it's pretty quick.
Okay.
Just a lot of introductions.
Very good. And what towns, just out of curiosity, belong to that other working group?
I'll have to get you a list, but it was like southeastern Massachusetts. So, basically the next zone over from us.
South Coast, like from Seekonk over to Wareham, basically that area?
I'll have to get you the exact, I'll get
Yeah.
you the name of the group exactly, and we can pull up a map of where they cover, but southeastern Massachusetts.
Do you want
Okay,
me to put their slides as an attachment to our minutes?
I think that presentation would be a great thing to attach to the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
agree.
could somebody send it to me again? Because I didn't get it.
Let me make a note.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll probably send it to you right now.
Okay.
Oh, and David Still was on the call, and we were discussing the speed test data that the state has bought versus what they can buy, and he agrees that the month-by-month Ookla data could be helpful, whereas the state bought the whole year data as opposed to something that lets you see the seasonality. So he agreed that if we had access to that data, that could be extremely helpful. So that might be something we want to include in any feedback to MBI, because the Cape Cod Commission would be supportive of that message.
Mm-hmm. Did he indicate that there might be an opportunity for the commission or some other entity, the Technology Council, to buy the data if MBI declines?
Well, he actually already has access to that, the whole year data set. He says MBI has shared it selectively. So
Okay.
that would be, having that at all would be a wonderful data set for us. I'm not sure why they don't make it public, but it
Yeah.
could be licensing restrictions. It could be whatnot. But yeah,
Well, I was
it's
thinking
in a slightly upgraded version is what they need to prove seasonality issues.
Yeah, I was thinking of having the commission go by the month-by-month data, the latest month-by-month data, if MBI declines to purchase that.
I think it'd be a very high ROI on spend, because it would basically highlight the Cape's problem using the same data set the state is using effectively.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion on the Cape Cod Technology Council? Okay, seeing none, moving on to broadband committees in other towns. Anything going on, Jed, that you can see?
Nothing since last week. Nothing has, nobody's met. Nothing's going on. The only town meeting that's having meetings is Wellfleet in Falmouth. Like I said, Wellfleet's dealing with that line out to the beach, and Falmouth is dealing with an RFI and an RFP.
Okay.
They mentioned yesterday they're also starting to circle the wagons to get a manager.
Yes, right. So the RFP would be for they're going to contract the manager. They're not going to hire an employee, so they're doing an RFP for that.
Bob, I apologize for just going back. I just have one more. I read over the presentation last night. Page 45 of it makes reference to $3.1 million awarded already, and it shows, it looks like from this map, Bourne, and I can't tell what else. Was that the money that was used for those downtown Open Cape stuff, or I don't know where that came from? It shows $3.1 million. It looked like it had already been awarded.
I have no idea.
Okay.
The arithmetic on who's taking money or counting money from what pot is a mystery to me, I must admit. Open Cape, in terms of their discussion of the $250,000 for the ersatz Pecasset connection, that was listed as economic development funds when they made their presentation as to where they got the money, as opposed to, Department of Revenue for municipal connection money. So you got me. If anybody else,
this thing says Municipal Digital Equity Planning Program, 68 awards, approximately $3.1 million awarded, 12 gateway cities plus City of Boston. And when you look at the cities highlighted are, it looks like Bourne, possibly Sandwich, and Wareham.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I have no idea what that is.
Well, we have a
the planning study.
The digital equity planning study that's going on.
Yeah, I have no idea what the eventual dollar award was to Bourne to give to the Cape Cod Commission. Anne Marie, do you recall what that might be?
No, that was awarded before my time.
Yeah.
We could request it from MBI if it's just a real narrow.
Why is it material?
Yeah, we don't need to know.
Oh, okay, I just thought that if the money was awarded, I just wanted to know, was it still available? Because it seems to indicate that it was awarded.
We're doing it now. The digital equity planning process is in progress.
Okay, so what they're saying is that this money has already been kind of semi-allocated. Is that what they're saying?
Oh, it's 100% contracted in our case, for Sandwich and Bourne, it's contracted to the Cape Cod Commission.
Okay,
so,
all right. That was the point.
It's paying for the public meetings. It's paying for the committee staff, commission staff, etc.
Okay.
And it'll pay for the report and recommendations when we get to that point. Yeah. Okay.
And on a side note, or sort of jumping in with this, I did reach out when you mentioned Open Cape. I did reach out to our rep from Open Cape, have left him 2 messages. So I'm going to circle back again to see if we can meet and go over our contract. So just to, as soon as I have that information, hopefully I'll have it this week and be able to report back next week.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Falmouth MLP, we've already discussed. Moving forward to the digital equity planning study. Just to let everybody know, I printed out maybe about 8 flyers, the 1-page flyers, and I've got them posted at a couple of post offices, a couple of public bulletin boards around town, in a couple of stores, etc. Just to see if anybody was interested. I had a few of them handed out at the Rip Van Winkle play at the Bourne Community Building the other, I guess it was Sunday afternoon, and there was some interest in that. That's where I got the comment about somebody who had watched our meeting and said, boy, a lot of technical stuff there. Anyway, so we're doing what we can. I will try to attend the meeting on November 1st with the Council on Aging, the morning breakfast, just to be there. And I don't know what else we could possibly do from our end to try to publicize this November 13th charrette some more. If anybody has any ideas, let us know.
Can we have the enterprise run the put one of the posters in the paper each week?
I asked them to do that. I sent it to them, and I hope that they will continue to do that. But I will remind them every week until they either do or they don't.
Okay.
The good news was the editor was on vacation last week, but she handed off this chore to somebody else who was well aware of it and said he was going to get it in. But I didn't get a chance to check.
Yeah, I
Anybody
didn't
else
see it in the
what they
paper. I could have missed it
No.
too, but I didn't see it.
grumble
But
grumble. Okay.
Does the town have a email list for official announcements and things like that?
They have the reverse 911, but we wouldn't want to
No.
use it
No.
No.
for that purpose. People would kill us if we started doing advertising.
yeah, there is a news link on the town website where they put newsworthy things. I don't know if this qualifies, and I don't know who controls that either. But it basically shows up on all the web pages. It just says news.
Yeah, there's a little banner that shows up. It's when there's one
Yeah.
important community announcement.
Yeah, exactly.
The bridge is closing or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know who controls that, but there is that also.
Okay.
Put
And
the name of the group from yesterday in the chat, Bob.
Okay. Give me 1 second here. Interesting. Okay. The Mass Broadband Coalition. I presume they have something like a website. I just copied that.
Basic, but you can kind of see the towns from the document list in there, roughly.
Yep.
you know.
Yep. Okay. Very good. Moving on. We are done with prepping for the charrette, correct?
Except
Any,
for getting the word out as best we can, yes.
Yeah, but if you can think of a particular venue. Oh, I also put one up. There's a little bulletin board at the front of the Pecasset mobile home park. I don't know who is going to see that, but I have not been able to track down a rep for that association. I asked a couple of people who live there, and they couldn't remember.
How about the Pecasset Market? Did you put anything up there?
Yeah, Dylan would hand these out maybe if you ask him nice.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I could go down there, I'm sure, go down there all the time and just post it. He's got like a little bulletin board right in front where people post stuff.
I forgot about that. I will do that. I've got some
Okay,
extra
yeah.
of these right here. So I'll run out. I have to go down there later today. Yeah, that will catch people's eye. The one at the post office, I got a couple of comments about it, people who have seen it already. So we'll go from there.
Yeah, Dylan always complains about the internet, so tell him, hey, we're trying to fix the internet because we know it's terrible here. Can you hand these out to everybody?
He's usually not willing to hand stuff out. Having tried that before, but I forgot about his bulletin board.
Oh, this will get his attention. I've talked to him before. He is furious with the Comcast connection he has there.
Right.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, I worked there when I was a wee baby, so I knew him when he was much younger.
I remember Larry.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward. Okay, we talked about potential letters that we were going to be sending out. Just looking at this. Hang on a sec. One moment, please. I have the wrong agenda up. Too many pages open here.
Next.
Sorry, folks.
Next thing I have is the Falmouth MP contact.
Oh, I have some drafts I'll send to you, Bob. When they come up, I'll just have them ready for you to pop on the screen.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and put them up? Can you? I don't have control, so I can't give you share screen authority.
Yeah, so I got the draft to MBI and I got a draft of a request to Verizon for poll data. What do you want? Let me know when you want me to pull up which one, or Wendy can pull it up.
Yeah, fat chance.
Probably better if you do it, Brian.
Yeah,
Our connection's a little
I
shaky.
can look at it. I can look at it later in the sorting.
Well, the
I
sun's
could-
coming up, Wendy. It might get better.
Yeah,
Or
pigs might
worse.
fly. I was just telling my husband yesterday, they can turn it on and they can turn it off. So is this the one that I was looking at yesterday?
Yeah, and let me remove everybody from it. So that's a new document.
I can see it, so
Hold on. Let me remove everybody and create a new document. Actually, let me just stop sharing. Give me a minute. Let me create a new document since. Make a copy. Draft 3.
So this is not the Falmouth thing yet.
this is the letters to, I guess, Verizon.
Here we go. This one would be a first draft of the letter to MBI
Oh, no, yeah, okay.
about
Yeah, that's the next agenda item.
which one do we want?
We're on the letter, we're information request to Verizon.
Give me a minute.
What happened to the Falmouth MLBP contact?
We talked about that.
Sort of. Okay.
I
That
don't
must
know
have been
if
in the
there's
lost
anything more to
time.
say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, moving on.
And then we covered the
Good.
digital equity workshop discussion, and now we're on to information request to Verizon.
Okay, got a fresh document up.
Okay.
Okay. So I basically fed our last Verizon letter into AI and told it to write a new one for the poll data, copying the same exact format. Dear Ms. Cummings, we are writing to extend our gratitude for Verizon's ongoing initiative, blah, 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 just fluff. So the bullets here are the real information we're asking for. Could you please provide us with a comprehensive data file containing the locations of all the Verizon poles in the town of Bourne? We would also like to request data on areas where Verizon provides service underground in the town of Bourne. Could you share with us copies of the poll surveys that Verizon recently conducted in our jurisdiction?
Brian, one comment on number 1. My understanding is that Verizon owns some poles outright and they co-own other poles in town. Is that correct?
Yes, they generally co-own it.
Maybe say Verizon poles parenthesis owned or co-owned close parenthesis in the town of Bourne.
Co-own space. Or there we go. Grammar. Co-owns in town of Bourne.
Okay, anyone have any other comments? Has everybody finished reading it?
Good letter, right to the point. Perfect.
I like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. I don't know whether they're going to reveal that to you or say that they have it available.
Now, do we basically, once we like it, we vote on it and send it to the board? Is that the process?
Yes.
Here we are. Okay. I'm just getting to
Wendy,
read
I'm
this
gonna
now, so give me just a
I'm going to
sec.
check in with you periodically, given your connection problems. I want to make sure you got a chance to read this before we vote on it.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now.
Excellent.
I wouldn't say could you. I would say please provide. Could you? They can always say, yeah, fuck you. No, we couldn't. Sorry. Um, and we would we are requesting data, or we are requesting data on areas where, and likewise on number 3, ditch the could you and say please share with us. That's not a question. That's a request. That's not a question. Okay. What else? Yeah.
The paragraph
I just-
below
I
it is a
just-
very roundabout way of referencing that there's fire department requirements without
Yes.
going too into detail on the specifics.
Hmm.
But it does tell them that we know about that. That's part of when you send a letter like this, part of that is letting them know that we know more than they think we know, and we know what to ask for.
I think the problem is the person we're writing to is not a technical person, and whether or not they will be able to extract this information from those who do know is an unknown. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I know,
government
but
affairs.
that person will say, "What the heck does this mean?" And we'll go to the tech person, and the tech person will say, "Oh, we know what that is. Here you go." Or,
Yeah.
we're not releasing that,
Eversource
or something. They'll-
Eversource had a lovely government person that says, I don't know anything about the polls, but I know who does, and I can walk over to them and ask them
There
this
you
stuff.
go. That's the point. Yeah.
I surely hope you're right. I don't know. I've had, just don't know.
The government liaison people in these companies are very familiar with the individual department heads, et cetera, responsible for providing services where they have contracts with, towns, state government, et cetera.
Right.
I think I might also say we need this information for our planning and blah blah, because once we start saying it would be valuable for us, they don't care whether it's valuable for us. Just say we need this information for our planning, blah blah. Now, what do you think about that?
There you go.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay.
Polite, but
Okay.
firm
Yep.
and short and to the point,
don't know
which
what-
is the most important thing when
Yeah.
dealing with executive.
Yeah, they don't have time to read a lot of verbiage, and but also you don't want anything they can say, but you didn't say. You weren't specific about this. Okay.
Yeah, I figure on the first request, you can be very broad, don't need to get specific down to like GIS files and things like that. I just left all that out.
Brian, would they have any reason to want to withhold this information?
Yes.
And what would that be?
They view us as competition, they would.
Competition? Yeah. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, I just
When
have
you
one
look at
comment.
anything, why would they
General-
benefit from telling us any of this? They don't have any benefit from telling us any of this.
Yeah, just a thought on number 1. Typically in the industry, they call them either solely owned poles or jointly owned poles. So
Very good.
solely,
good to know.
yeah, SOLELY.
Or jointly, yeah.
Oh,
LY, yeah. And
That's
then
correct.
jointly.
That's correct.
And then jointly.
Solely. Yes. And jointly. Okay, so we're approving this. It's going to go out if the select board is happy with it, or this falls under our purview anyway, so we don't have to ask.
I'm going to strike this word because that has a legal definition.
It has to go to select
The
board.
Board of Selectmen has to approve and send the letter.
Yes.
Okay, all
But
right.
then it has more weight because they're representing the town and.
Yeah, yes.
And I think that, those poles are all on, I guess deeded public, their right of ways or whatever that's been deeded to them. And I don't know
Yeah.
what legally that involves, but it might in some way involve something to do with town government. So perhaps they have more weight than if we just send it.
Yeah, they have to
Uh-huh.
petition the town to set a pole on a public way.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, these pop
kind of
up
thing is-
periodically on the select board all the time.
Okay.
It's kind of thing being helpful and providing something that doesn't cost them anything. It's probably goes a long way with peace in their permitting process.
So the town is already giving them something, so we're asking for something in return. That's a good thing.
It's just data. It's not asking them to like send trucks and contractors or anything. It's
Or
stuff they already have
It's not
sitting on a
asking to
computer.
actually- yeah.
So
Yeah,
can I
they're
make
not
a
actually
motion that
being
we
asked to do
take
it.
this letter and send it to the board?
Jed makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor of sending this forward to the board?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposition?
Aye.
Okay, hearing none, it passes unanimously. And Wendy, can you take a copy of this and as the clerk, send it forward to Anne Marie as the clerk for the select board and ask for review and approval of this letter at the next meeting?
You send it to the town
Well-
administrator and CC MJ. Well, you send it to MJ and CC the town administrator and Kathleen.
Okay, and then it ends in the clerk's lap eventually, right?
It does.
Okay,
Well, no, well, Kathleen, she'll formulate it to send to the select board as an agenda item.
okay, gotcha.
okay. If
Should I send it to you
if
directly,
some-
Bob?
Yeah, send
You
it to
can
me
send
and
it
I will.
to-
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Send it to me and I will send it off to the appropriate people.
Yeah, my
Right.
general, my
Okay,
opinion is, Bob, it should come from the chair of the committee.
Okay,
yeah,
Yep.
I think so. I mean, I'm happy to do this sort of chore, but I think it
Nope.
should come from you.
No, the more formal process is this chair sends the request to,
Yeah.
because it's going to be on a select board. The request is technically to have it on an agenda, as an agenda item. So MJ and the town administrator coordinate agendas,
right.
select board meetings, but we're not having one on the 31st, so it'll be.
Hello?
I think she's saying it's going to be on the 7th.
Sorry, we're not having a meeting on the 31st, so it'll be on the 7th, November 7th.
Gotcha. Okay,
Okay.
very good. Brian?
Did you look at the MBI item while I was checked out there for a while?
We're on D, information requests. We just did Verizon. My question is, do we have information requests we're planning to pursue with T-Mobile?
Um,
It's on the agenda. I don't know. I don't remember talking about it.
I
think-
remember that. I think Brian brought that up. I don't know whether or not I think Brian brought that up, and I'm not sure to what degree he was talking, but the idea was, are they planning to do anything else other than their FWA, which I think is all they're planning on, but we don't know.
Yeah.
Because they're not in the business of they're purely a phone company. They're not.
Yeah,
in the
I don't,
business-
right. So Brian, what's the information request to T-Mobile that we're working on?
We had just been trying to get a contact first of all, but we were going to want to request information about their FWA service. And if there was a, say, different model of equipment with external antennas and things like that, that would be useful for people in our town, since it's a recurring issue with the trees being in the way of signal access. Instead of having hundreds of people call in and be frustrated and try to figure that out, just ask one time and get a copy of it from someone who knows exactly what we're talking about.
Brian, once again, can you put that into a simplified request or a straightforward request for our next meeting? Because I'm having trouble following that myself. And then we'll review a draft at the next meeting.
Yeah, I can put something together in a few minutes.
I think the problem with the 5G external antenna is that it takes at least 4 antennas and sometimes more. And so it's a really difficult thing to do externally. 4G is just 2 antennas. So this is at least what I've learned in pursuing the Verizon FWA.
Yeah, I sent Jed something that I found on the internet. There's a company that sells an external antenna, and you have to do some serious modifications to your Verizon box.
You have to open the box up. You have to open the box up and go in. And the reason they do that is they really don't want you to have a consumer style external antenna on 5G. So I'm suspecting the same with T-Mobile. But anyway, okay. So now I understand.
And it was like between $400 and $500, I think, for that antenna.
Yeah.
Because that one company was selling.
All right. The other thing that's on the agenda here is Eversource. So are we doing something with them?
I think Eversource is going to be a poll request if, in fact, they have some independent polls that they don't co-own with Verizon.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we just put a couple of these in just so that they're on the agenda. So if they come up and we discuss something about them,
okay.
We haven't violated the open meeting requirements.
Got it.
Again, we talk back and forth about all of these companies all of the time, and I just want to make sure there's a placeholder to say we have the legitimate right to talk about them.
Got it. Makes sense.
Are we?
Yeah.
Are we going to send us an analogous letter to them asking for information?
It may not
to Eversource.
Yeah.
I think the plan is to see what we get from Verizon, because we may, Verizon may co-own all the polls with Eversource, in which case we won't have to do that. I think that's my understanding anyway.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, they'll tell you that, and then you can see whether the answers you get from them and everybody else are congruent.
So we did ask them before we were a committee, and we asked them for the poll data, and it was a more limited subset. We were just looking for the route from Depot Road to Barlow's Landing Beach and to the firehouse. And that's when they sent us their formal paperwork for an actual poll survey, instead of giving us whatever they just happen to have on the computer. So we have a contact at Eversource who is quite helpful, but we might need to ask the question a little bit more targeted and or cite some of the legal language that they just have to disclose what they got. So this might mean we need to circle back with the Department of Utilities, since I haven't heard back from them as far as the electrical pole information rights. So might have to move that up the to-do list to get on the horn and shake the tree there, or maybe have Bob make the call there, since they ignored my email.
I have a quick, just a question, because although I've been in and out of this area, I've only been living here full time for a little more than a year. Who normally replaces damaged poles around here?
Nobody.
Natick, it was always Eversource. Right. So
it's a recorded call. They might be listening.
Yeah. No, I mean, who is it who normally replaces the?
They don't. They're terrible. They're falling apart.
John, there's a pole on my street with a big sign on it that says condemned. Give you an idea.
I know who replaces them. The car insurance company that from the drunk driver that hits them. That's who does it.
Well, no, what I mean is that, in all seriousness, a number of years ago, there was a very serious accident in front of my home in Natick, which was on a main street. And it was Eversource that actually came along with an auger truck and a pole and replaced it. So I just don't know. who
But
does
to
it run.
Brian's point, it was probably funded by the insurance company, so.
But
Tony,
this
go
was
ahead.
literally,
But either Eversource or Verizon is gonna set the pole. And oftentimes, I mean, it could be totally Verizon set, it could be totally Eversource set, or it could be shared depending on certain villages within the town. I think the best way to get that information is from our town people themselves, because when a pole is set, they have to petition the town. So there should be records for who is petitioning the town for pole sets.
That's a great question to ask whose job that is, because that might be a treasure trove of information we didn't know we had access to.
Would
And
that be
who
the town engineer?
that is a
Anne-Marie?
good point. You're muted, Anne Marie.
I'm sorry, say that again. I've had some, I half listened because I grew up in Lewiston and I have family and friends there, so I'm getting,
Oh my
you know,
God.
back and forth
Yeah.
texts.
And
But,
so- yeah.
Yeah, the first reach out you could try Tim Lyden.
Yeah, I'm meeting with Tim on November 1st. Okay, so I'll ask Tim about that. By the way,
He's
I'm
the
also
town
meeting with
engineer.
I'll be meeting with the mayor of New Bedford. So if Catherine, if we have some clarity about trying to go forward with with copying their plan, I might mention that we plan to talk to copy the New Bedford plan with the mayor. If I have a
Okay.
chance on a sidebar on the meeting on the 1st.
Okay, all right, that's great. Thank you.
I'll
Where
try to
do I
get the
put
names
that
of the
in?
people so you can reference exactly who you should talk to.
Where does that go in the minutes, Bob? Your meeting with
Say
the,
again.
where
Well-
in the minutes does that belong? Your meeting with the mayor of New Bedford?
Again, the meeting is about something totally. It would be a side meeting at something else. Just for your information, the Picasset Water Quality Coalition got a $50,000 grant from EPA, and the award ceremony is on November 1st. And New Bedford got a huge one. So this is a ceremony and a luncheon or something like that over in New Bedford, the middle of the day on November 1st. MJ is going to be there too, as well as Tim.
Mhm.
And it has nothing to do with cable. It's all about water quality.
No, I understand that. We're going to ask him about something or other.
Well, again, that's going to be asking about the digital equity speed tests through the school system.
Okay, thank you.
And I just know in general, just from looking at the South Coast version of the paper, that New Bedford in general has been railing about poor internet. So they're sort of involved in that, although I didn't see any kind of a plan, anything nearly as organized as what we're doing. But it surely sounds like the digital equity. I don't know who the contractor is doing that for them, but it sounds like this is a great way to get the testing done.
The person in New Bedford to reference to the mayor is Sean Gross. He was the person instrumental in the data collection in New Bedford with using the school children to gather.
You know what?
And is he with the school
Brian?
system, or is he?
Oh.
I'm sorry, Jed. Is he with the school system or with the some other department in the town?
Let me figure that out, because this is the second time I've heard that name. I believe MBI also said I should talk to him. Let me look through my emails and I'll see what kind of 411 I can get you.
Okay, just send that on to me.
No, I just wanted to point out, Brian, that those emails came from a Fairhaven, Mass address.
That's the organizer of the, I believe, Mass Broadband Coalition. He said introduce me to Sean.
Okay, got it.
But Josh at MBI said, like in May, like, do you know Sean Gross in New Bedford? I should put you in touch with them. That's the
Okay.
same time he put us in touch with Thomas Hahn at Education Superhighway.
Got it.
Excellent.
I feel like I've seen that name before when we were doing Middle
don't-
Mile.
you- don't dig for it now, but just send that on to me, and I'll do what I can to try to connect with him. And Catherine, if you could connect with the school system and see if they're willing to do this, then we can make the connection and just, as Brian said, just cut and paste their plan into, hand it to our school system and let them see if they can execute it.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Are
Okay.
we,
Wendy, a question?
I think she's frozen.
She's
Oh, boy.
frozen.
Yeah.
What agenda item are we on now? It's been so much jumping around.
Yeah, apologies. We are we're still on the information request to Verizon, et cetera.
Okay.
I
Are we
think
done
I
with
think we're
that?
pretty much done with that right now. We're an hour into this, and a couple of people have to drop off in a couple of minutes here, so I want to move forward. The next items here: declaration of the Cape is underserved, the area challenge model, et cetera. Why is this? I keep jumping. Hang on a sec, folks. Apologies, Mike. The wrong agenda keeps popping up. I have too many windows opened. Give me 1 second here. Good grief. The next item I have actually is and the area challenge model, et cetera. And I think we're waiting for the new regulations to come out on the 11th. I think that's what we determined before. Brian, is that the date you have?
Roughly about then. I can circle back with David Still and get an exact. I'm not sure where the published date is.
Okay, and once we see that, you've got the draft letter. You ready to put that up so we could see that, and just to start talking about the letter, even if it is a bit early to send it?
Yeah, I can pop that up. I was just trying to dig up Sean Gross. I think I found him.
Okay, well, just send that to me separately. Again, I'm not going to be talking to the mayor until the 11th. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the first.
Let me get you the letter up. Oh, not that version. Make a copy. Sorry, my internet's even being slow today too. Okay. Share screen. Okay, so header.
Okay. So this falls under the area challenge model item of the agenda.
Yes. Specifically our concerns for the area challenge module. Ahead of the official release of the exact details, but based on copious conversations with the Cape Cod Commission, with MBI itself, MBI's presentations, education superhighways raised a lot of concerns and pulled up the original text from NTIA and said most states just copy and paste that. And so this is all conjecture based on extensive meetings with people with understandings of this stuff. And a lot of the national analysts who cover all this stuff, their concern has always been the BEAD timelines are so short that no government can react. So they often recommended people start doing their planning and their thinking even ahead of official rules releases, because there's no way to react to it within the timeframes given. So that's been an ongoing concern across the country.
Okay. Brian, my 2 cents on this, and we're a ways from sending this, but I think we ought to just develop our complaints as a kind of a very tight list of bullet points without a lot of verbiage to go with them. Those would almost be talking points for us, or a list of bullets that we can hand around to our other advocates, maybe our in addition to the select board, the delegation to the legislature, et cetera, for them to send out either jointly or individually. We can probably get 2 or 3 of them, Exaros and maybe Susan Moran, to send these individually, if not to circulate to the entire Senate and House delegations for Barnstable County. But again, we need the bullet points to just understand what each of those are.
We get to that later. So one of my primary concerns is MBI has somehow lost sight of why the challenge process exists at all. And so some of that narrative is to kind of step away from the technical complaints of this and take a step back and go over why does this exist? Why is this even a task? And some of the narrative is to highlight that the mapping is very binary, like either you have service or you don't. Whereas the real world, the reason the challenge exists is because the real world doesn't work that way. And so later into this, I get into like a numbered list of specific critiques that would be easily turned into a bullet point handout.
Okay, excellent. Okay. I kind of missed that.
Let me know if you have any questions on the first page if you want to keep rolling. Should I just email this out so people can read it over real quick and then we'll go over editing it?
Maybe email it out and then have everybody come back next week with edits.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you send it as a Word file, Brian?
Yeah, that's fine.
And
this is just my first shot at trying to, scrape something together. So it might be a little aggressive and we'll have to tone down the language a little bit.
Yeah. You know how to turn on track changes?
I'm not very familiar with how to operate track changes in Word.
Okay.
That was always the lawyer's job.
Send it out in Word, and for people who know how to do it, turn on, if you have comments, turn on track changes.
For single person track changes? Yeah, I know how to do that for one person and send it back. I don't know how to merge multiple people's.
No, I'm just suggesting when you send it out with track changes turned on, then people can edit the document and then send it back to you.
Okay, I'll send it out.
Well,
but
once again,
maybe we'll just go over the high level critique instead of the details. Oops, undo. So the high level concerns are, because everyone's familiar with the narrative, why this exists and all that, and the Cape being seasonal. So first concern is the Cape Cod is a seasonal location. So year-wide data doesn't really make any sense, because April to October, we have 10 times as much demand. And when you size the network for the off season, there's going to be problems. And so when they do a collection period in February, when it's our lowest volume of people, that data is basically worthless because we don't have problems in February. There's just nobody just on the Cape. The second issue is the timeline. We've been asking them for 1.5 years to give us the tools to start tracking this kind of data, like asking them what kind of white box do we plug in, what details you need us to track. We've been like trying to get specifics so we can start tracking, and they haven't given it to us. And they're restricting the time period of data collection short. It looks like it's going to be like a month. And so what that means is if everybody in the state has to track data in the exact same month at the exact same time, no towns can share the data loggers. So each town has to purchase a set of these and run them for the whole time instead of being able to go, okay, Bourne gets it January, Sandwich gets it February, and you could rotate these devices around and save a lot of money. So the time collection period is problematic because it increases the cost for everybody. Fourth, it's a little bit unreasonable that the burden is placed on the towns who neither have the hardware or the budget or the time to approve a budget for these things in time for this. Whereas, MBI should be the one providing the tools to the towns. And then it also got the Ookla speed test data that they should be providing the month by month data set, so we can highlight this problem, which we've explained to them in great detail with the Cape Cod Commission surveys and the MBI surveys, where everyone's complaining that summertime the connections go down. Just buy the data set, the version of the data set they already own, get it with granular enough to the monthly data, and they'll be able to see that. They should just be providing this to the town. And I stole some text from Doug Dawson, since he says it better than I could ever do it. So I stole it with attribution of how important that monthly data set would be. So very rough first draft, but that's the high level concerns.
Wow. Okay. That's a very comprehensive first draft. Excellent.
It really is. Thank you, because then it will help us once we finalize this. It will help everybody speak to it, and it will be our base. Thank you for doing that.
Right.
Oh, plus I had to donate some money to somebody to transcribe our video. So that was a $20 or $30 donation to the town. So I have to disclose these now.
Can't we, isn't there a way to just get closed captions off of this and go from there?
Yeah. So I had someone take the closed captions and then turn it into a first draft of the letter, and then I rewrote my thoughts to the second draft to at least get me halfway there.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay, the way forward for this is I think what we ought to do is everybody do track changes, red line strikeout, whatever you want to call it, on a Word version of this. I guess probably come back to the next meeting, be prepared to discuss them, but we can also send them to Brian beforehand. Yes. That's not a discussion. There's not going to be any back and forth, so Brian can see them beforehand, and then we'll collate all the comments together for the next meeting.
Right. It has to be a direct email to Brian. You can't.
I don't know if I have the capacity right now, so careful volunteering me for that.
Okay, well, I tell you what.
What's merging entail?
Let's just bring them all back to the next meeting, and we'll work from there. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, not even merge them, but just send them to Brian so Brian can look them over as the original author for this. Send them individually without CCing everybody else on them.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and then you can look.
I'm going to outsource it.
Well, Brian, if you want, after you get a bunch of comments, they want it a day before, if you can send them to me in a zip.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay. Send them over and I'll package them together, I guess.
Yeah. Package them in a zip and I'll do all the merging. I'm happy to do that.
Cool.
Oh, thank you, Jed.
Appreciate it.
That's a thankless job too.
I've been doing it for decades. I've got it down pat.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I outsource as much writing as I can, at least first drafts, so that when I sit down, I got something halfway there, and I can my thoughts roll onto the page just as edits instead of writing it.
The word tools are, once you learn them, they're easy to use, but it's hard to learn them. But I've got it down now. So if you send me the stuff that's redlined, then I can merge them all into one document.
So you're gonna
Okay.
use merge doc or doc compare or something like that, and then
Yeah, in the Word, yeah, it's in the Word, in Word itself.
yeah.
You can merge the documents together, yes.
Okay, very good. So we've got a way forward with this. Everybody send your changes, additions, etc. to Brian before the next meeting, and then be prepared to come in and talk about them. Jed, you want to do this the day before, something like
Yeah,
that? So
yeah. If you send me the stuff by noon on Wednesday, I'll have it ready by Wednesday night.
Okay.
How do you put track changes onto the file itself?
So if you go to it's called the Review tab,
Okay.
and then under Tracking, and then
Okay, so I
Track
gotta
Changes.
enable
turn on
edit
track.
track changes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so
You
now if anybody types in that document, it'll redline it automatically.
save as set to track. Set to red line. Okay, cool. I will
Okay.
shoot that out.
Yeah, and then just to give some breathing room here, if anybody wants to sit down during the Patriots game and crunch this out, that'd be useful to get it sooner rather than later, so Jed isn't backed up at the last minute.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Okay. Okay, we're done with item F. Moving on. Anne Marie has left, and she says she has not been able to come up with a point of contact for bridge fiber infrastructure. So we'll table that. That'll be on the next agenda. Agenda posting and Zoom protocols. I have not. I sent one quick note to Maria to ask about that and have not heard back. So there's nothing to report on that. I'll bug them some more.
Well, I'll say this: all the minutes are up.
Okay.
Yeah, all the minutes. So something happened, Bob, from what you did.
Okay. Okay. And the next also as part of that is to
Part of what happened is that I went after them again and said, they said, "Oh, we don't have these." I said, "I sent them to you once before. Here they are all again." And then they went up.
Okay.
So
okay.
something happened. I don't know. Just paying attention over there.
Yeah. So I think
Where are we?
I think we're good there, Bob.
Okay, good. And the next item in terms of having a general email address for us, I have not heard back from them, so I'm going to bug them again. Maria was supposed to get back. Actually, it was Kathleen who was going to get back to me. So I will bug them again and see what they've come up with. Okay. I think that is pretty much the agenda.
Did I miss something on the point of contact for the new bridge fiber, or was that Anne Marie?
That was Anne Marie. She had just did a chat with me, or I guess she texted me and said that she had to leave and that she hasn't been able to identify a point of contact yet. So this agenda
Okay.
item is just tabled for
Thank
the
you,
next
Sarah.
next meeting.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Any further business that we haven't covered? Okay, next is any additional agenda items for the next meeting? The next question is, do we want to have the next meeting at 8 a.m. again? Is that okay for everybody?
Fine with me.
Fine.
I'm on board with that.
I can do it if I have to. Prefer later, but I can do it.
Yeah.
My wife is still
I have to
asleep
tell
when I
you,
get
Yeah.
my dogs objected strenuously to have to go out and start walking at 6:30 this morning.
Well, my feeling is if we can
Yeah.
get if this works for more people, I think we should do 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I
These are
agree.
gonna get
Yeah.
shorter as
Our
time
cats
goes
were
on.
Should
Yeah,
we?
our
gonna-
animals were thrilled to death to see me get up this early.
Do you want to
So,
review go through an agenda for next week, Bob?
Yes. Looking at it, I don't see a whole lot
Well,
from
here,
the agenda that's
I've been
posted here
taking
that needs.
notes. Can you see what's up
Ye-
there?
Okay,
Yeah.
hang on,
and
hang
not
on.
yet.
One moment. Looks perfect for me.
Right,
I
so,
can't see a thing.
yeah, so it's the second at 8 a.m. We have the same two leadoff items. Do we want to put something in here, Bob, to talk about your feedback from New Bedford?
Well, again, that, let's see, what's the date? Sure. Okay, the date is November 2nd. Okay. And also, there'll be feedback with, in terms of town of Bourne poll permits, I'll have feedback. Oh, you've got that there.
Yeah, I put that down
Uh,
under here, under the information requests.
Right. And that'll be feedback from Tim Lydon.
Okay,
And again, this discussion with the with the city of New Bedford is purely going to be an attempt at a sidebar. There's nothing scheduled, so to speak.
Sure.
So, but I've been told it's going to be a relatively small, relatively informal group with a lot of discussion among the participants. So
yeah, I
I'll look
just
for an
figured if it's on the agenda, then we can talk about it.
yes, okay. And where would that go? That's going to New Bedford feedback goes right there. Excellent.
Yeah, as we're talking about all the other towns, I just put it in that list.
Yep. How about New Bedford? And you can call it, what was the name of the group? It was
Oh,
the
South Coast.
South Coast, or what did Brian call it? It was the Broadband Coalition.
Oh, the Massachusetts Broadband Coalition.
Yeah, South Coast / Mass Broadband Coalition. I think they're one and the same, but
Coalition. Okay.
we ought to stay in close touch with them.
Okay. All right, then we'll continue to talk about the workshop. This is what I think we're doing. We're going to talk about on the information requests, right? I put this in. Maybe we could find out if we heard back on those.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure Anne
Although
Marie will,
it just
will fill
occurred
us
to me
in.
that there's no select board meeting until the 7th, so I don't know how we'll do that. Maybe.
Well, once again, she's the clerk, so if something comes back to the select board, she'd see it.
Oh, great.
She'd
great.
let us know.
Great, okay. I put this in to review the MBI letter. Right?
Yep.
I took out talking about posting agendas and stuff because I
Yeah,
think
we're
okay
done with that.
Right?
Everything is okay, and it's just a matter of the town coming up with a way forward to get us an
Yeah.
email address.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Okay, it looks good to me. Anybody else have comments on that?
No, thank you. I need to jump. Thank you so much.
Yes, we're
All
done.
All right.
We're done.
So
All right,
I'm going
great.
to I'm going to send this to Maria after we finish, and then I'm going to forward the recording link after I get it back from Bourne TV. I'll send it out. I'll make it every week. I'll send that recording out so people have it.
I love the YouTube link because YouTube automatically transcribes it in about 24 hours. So it's
Right.
super helpful for outsourcing the grunt work.
I get the sense that's her last step. There's 4 steps. So that one, when you see the link from me, the YouTube one might not be up yet.
I think there's a lag. There was an extra lag too because like a bunch of the videos all loaded at the same time. So
Correct,
probably
yes.
what happened was given the Comcast upload speeds from wherever. Oh no, she's probably on a backbone wherever she is. So
She's on
but there was
Comcast.
some lag. There was some
Yeah,
lag
yeah.
to get all the files up.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
maybe it won't be as long, but I'll send the link out to the replay once it's up.
Yeah.
No, thank
That's
you.
super awesome. The huge process improvement.
Yeah, since I'm going to have to attend this meeting twice, I really appreciate that.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing if everyone's okay.
Yeah, well, let's just adjourn, I guess,
I have a
officially.
quick
Wendy, I'll
question.
send you
Yeah.
my tool for scraping meeting minutes from YouTube videos.
Did any of you have I had a Comcast issue on Saturday that I haven't seen down here yet. I didn't know if anybody else did. We lost it for a couple hours after 4 o'clock, and it turns out that their you might DNS server was down. In other words, you could look like you were connected to the internet, but you could not actually get to internet websites.
Mhm.
And I had
Oh.
to plug in my old. I had seen this once before up north. It happened to a friend of mine. You have to manually go into your computer, and it's a little complex, into your internet connection options, basically properties, and manually put in a DNS server name, and I used Google's.
Yep.
I called, of course, and I got someone offshore who kept trying to tell me all kinds of various things, and I'm saying, no, look, I've rebooted everything. It's all connected. All my lights are on, but I can't get to anything. But gee, suddenly when I change my DNS server to 8888, all of a sudden I'm connected. Will you please tell someone? And the guy finally relented and told someone, and like an hour and a half later, it was fixed.
Yeah, ours
Yeah,
went
so
out.
there's 3 levels. You got to go from residential to the business department. And if you really lean on the business department, you can get them to patch you over to enterprise support. And enterprise support knows what they're doing. And that will get you somebody who can actually deploy a ticket instantly to the field people.
Okay, this was just very strange. And obviously it was, somewhere far up the chain, they had maybe taken a server offline or something. Like I said, I saw this happen once in the Boston area where I had a private client who was in a panic because he had to distribute audio. He ran a sports information service to about 40 stations, and he couldn't get into the internet. And I discovered that it was a regional wide problem, and I had to talk him through resetting his computer, readjusting his internet settings so that he could get through. But this was a real bizarre one from around here, and it was like, immediately the first thing you get when you call them is a sales pitch. In fact, you have to go through 3 or 4 minutes of automated sales pitches before you can even talk to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
John,
ours,
my
ours went
solution
out
to
last
that,
night. Yeah.
I thought it was just one of the normal Comcast internet dropouts we have here on beautiful Kenwood Road.
Mhm.
And at that point, I had to send a few emails, and I just did them basically through Verizon, through the cell phone.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's how I first discovered that I switched my cell phone Wi-Fi off, and all of a sudden I could get through. So, yeah. And then I tried, it's a long story. Their app, the Comcast app, will tell you if there's a problem in your area, but won't let you report one. You have to call that in. But that's neither here nor there. Oh, and of course, they want you to go to their automated texting assistant, which is completely useless. Okay, I just wanted to find out. So you also had it, and that's what it was. And
in non-competitive markets, they'll force you to do the modem reset through the automated phone system before you even get to a human. They won't even let you reach a human if they haven't done a modem reset.
Right. Well, that was the first thing I did anyway. I reset my modem, and then I reset my Wi-Fi because it does have a DHCP server in it, which translates the information from Comcast to my computer. It's NAT. But the point was that none of that worked. And that's when I said, okay, I can see that there's a problem at their end. And it took them many denials before I was finally kind of said, just call the guy. And he says, okay. And he read it back to me. He says, okay, I'll report it. And then an hour and a half later, it was fixed.
I think we're going to eventually have to get ourselves a code number that lets us get to enterprise support if it's town-wide, like everyone's DNS has gone down.
Yeah, they just don't. I mean, it's like, it's the weekend, and it's like...
Where do they host the DNS server? Would that be in Boston, or just like one in the whole country?
No, I think that there are numerous ones.
It's a shared, what is it? There's probably a half a dozen, and they're all peers.
Mm,
And the number I found out later, and I should have tried this first, I had to look it up, is their address is 75757575 is the Comcast DNS server. And after all the whole thing, I went through and actually logged into my actual modem to do a little investigation there. So the next time it happens, I know how to quickly ascertain what the problem is.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was them. And this is just it's funny. In all the years I had Verizon, I never, ever had this problem. But Comcast, this is if you go on the internet, you'll find this pops up every now and then. It's a problem that they seem to get, and it always seems to be like a regional thing for some reason.
Right. So the servers get they get updates, directory updates all the time, and it's a common thing to have a corrupt directory in the DNS world, and they just apparently don't have a very good backup system. I've seen this a bazillion times.
Okay, so you've seen it. Sorry.
Oh yeah, all the time. It's just they're not properly configured so that if there is a corrupt directory somewhere that didn't go to a different one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the local host file on my computer my wife was trying to get on a seminar, and she was in a panic because she it looked like it was all good, and all of a sudden the thing went down. She couldn't get in. So, well, that's good to know. Thank you, Jed. I have some idea how it works.
Ours was poorly starting yesterday afternoon, evening, and we finally, gave up and went to the old-fashioned technology of reading books, which is really fine with us, but that's not what we had in mind for the evening. And it's still messed up this morning, and so right now, at this exact minute, I am running through my cell phone because. I tried to run a speed test last night when it was looking funky, and the message that I got said failed, and I said, no shit. But yeah, I mean, I got nothing. I got nothing. So it's still not, as you can see, not too reliable this morning, and I don't know why. I mean, the weather's beautiful, and
Another Osprey
the sun
nest.
is shining.
Well, just another day and us trying to
The Ospreys
debug. Can you imagine with as much we know
Ospreys
about the
have left
internet, how
town.
everyone else is, just wondering why the box isn't working again today,
Right.
just smacking it.
Yeah. Oh, my husband just he says, "Wait, can't you fix this?" And I said, "No, actually, I can't." Yeah. He's just pissed off he can't get the Cape Cod Times online on my old iPad anymore.
No,
So that doesn't actually break my heart because the Cape Cod Times is terrible. So I just hand him the Globe and say, "Read this, you'll learn something." But
Well, we might need to, once we start getting a dialogue going with him, have a higher speed access place when Jed goes down and he can't figure it out. Maybe he has to give him access to call direct enterprise support.
I don't know when Comcast goes down because I have a backup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're down, it's something across multiple networks has gone down.
Yep.
So it's not like a complainy case. Something's drastic's happened. It's probably both Comcast and Verizon at the same time.
so Brian, who did you call at T-Mobile the last time I got totally hosed and all of a
I
sudden
haven't
got
spoken,
excellent
but
service?
I put formal requests in asking for a contact at T-Mobile to their government's department, and then magically you get a new antenna.
Okay, then. I'll give that a shot.
I was like, the town of Bourne would like to know who we submit formal comments to if the select board chooses to. And then 3 weeks later, Wendy's internet service is faster.
It was like 3 days later.
That's all I did. I don't no magic there. Just a formal request. Who do we give to the select board if they would like to speak to you?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Oh crap, busted. They've been spotted. Okay. We did have a motion to adjourn, so we have adjourned officially, right? Okay.
Oh, good.
Well, it's recording still, so this is all public record.
Oh, okay. We still have a quorum.